Welcome to the third devlog for Prisma. What do you guys think of these intros? It's something I threw together when editing the first couple devlogs. I thought it could be a fun thing to change up every video. Anyway, let's get right into the dev stuff. First up, it's time to implement some items. I haven't done any sort of items yet, so let's start with a simple potion and a revive. I'll probably rename these in the future once I have a bit more flavor of the world. Although it may be a good idea to leave Potion and Revive as the names because people that play the game will generally know exactly what those do. We'll see, but for now I created these sprites in A sprite, so this is the Potion and this is the Revive. Now that I have those icons, we need to create the menu in Unity, and I'm going to be saying this a lot through these devlogs, but with these menus, something is better than nothing. So I'm keeping the menus extremely simple and just using Unity's basic UI stuff. Plus, I don't really want to do a bunch of work and make nice looking menus, then have to change the art constantly while I'm making tweaks to the game. So my plan is to get all of the functionality in there, and then I'll create some art for it once we're a bit further along in the process. I have a simple state system to control the flow of battle, so I put the item menu state in, and now I can at least open up the menu. I'll have the box cursor resize and position around these item buttons, and I also need to allow the Prisma cursor to select the party Prisma instead of just the enemies. As for the code and storage of the item information, I used scriptable objects to store all the information about the items. I think that's the proper way to do it, so I added a class for the items, and I'm just going to keep adding to it as I add more items. But for now, I just wanted to keep it simple, so I've got an amount to heal and a boolean to check if it revives. I did add two different healing methods though. The first is just a flat amount like the potion that will heal 50 HP every time, but the revive will revive a fallen Prisma and it will heal half of the HP, so I put in a percentage heal variable as well. So I think that works pretty well. It at least paves the way for me to make some more items and do some more complex things, but I think I'll need to improve the menu systems and make them usable from the main menu, but this is a good start. And this devlog is going to be a little all over the place because there was a lot of things I wanted to show you guys. So next up, I want to start adding some decorations. I have a bookshelf, a bed, a desk, but that's not much. So I want to try and add some outdoor stuff. First up, I did like a little flower box. I don't know what they're actually called. A planter? I'm going with planter. And I like the looks of it, but I'm already noticing that I'm having a hard time choosing between the minimalist pixel art style and the more defined pixel art style, where you like draw every brick and every leaf. I'm leaning towards the more defined style just because I don't know that I'm artistically talented enough to do the minimalist style to the point where I like it. Next up, I tried creating a well. Now this one is interesting because wells are inherently round, and I haven't really tried to do anything round in this style, so I just kept it simple, created the well 3D model, and wrapped a stone texture around it. Once I figure out where this is going to go in the map, I'll actually put a hole in and make it look like it fits better. Along those lines, I also made a stone bridge because I plan to have some rivers and the player will need a way to cross them. So I'll need to do some more terraforming here to make it look like it fits, but at least I have it made when I'm ready to use it. Now, looking back at the city, I just have a bunch of empty houses, so I need to start filling them up. I really tried to think about what these people would have in their homes. I just wanted to start simple, just like with everything else. So I already had a bed. Now they need a place to cook and eat. So I made a table with some simple chairs. Then I made a stone furnace so they can cook their meals. I also created a little pot that I'll eventually maybe put some flowers in. And no video game town would be complete without an item shop, so I think it's about time to start putting one of those in. I'm starting to get to a point that these buildings are going to need to have functions rather than just be a container for an NPC. So I set out to make the shop where players can buy and sell items, as well as a shrine where the player can heal up their Prisma. I went after the item shop first. I'm just making the art for it right now. I'll code the functionality in a later devlog. I thought about what would be in an item shop, and I already had a nice shelf, so I made another version that is shorter and wider and can be more of a display shelf. That way maybe I can take some of those item sprites and put them on the shelves. Then I added a counter for the shopkeeper to stand at. You'll probably also notice that there's a new NPC in here. That's the shopkeeper. I'll be talking about my sprite process in the next video. Then there were just a few extras to take care of. So I thought adding a rug would be a nice way to change up the way the floors look without having to create new floors. It also has the added benefit of giving the player an extra visual signal as to where the exit of the building is. Next, I decided to change the building's appearance slightly so the players can easily pick out the item shop when they enter a new town. So I ended up changing the roof to a nice blue color instead of red. None of the other buildings have blue on them, so I think this one will stand out well. Then I made a little item sign to hang on the front of the building. I might also make a sign that says shop or something like that on it. I haven't decided yet. And let's take a quick aside and talk about lighting as it relates to the buildings. So I know that I needed an effect when entering the buildings. I don't really know if it makes it easier to understand for the player, but I think it looks better. Let me know what you think in the comments. So when the player enters a building, I hide the roof and make a few other things disappear so the player can see the inside of the building, but I decided I also needed to add interior lighting. So that way I can shut off the main global light that lights up the exterior world when outside, and this is what it looks like when you go into a building. Don't mind the weird flickering. I've got a couple of bugs to work out with the interior detection system, but I still wanted to show this off. Once again, I don't know how much this affects the game's functionality, but I think it's a nice effect, and if anything, it'll just help the player focus on the area that they're in and not be distracted by things outside of the building that they can't reach. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about the shrine, because I really want this building to stand out, because the players are probably going to be spending quite a bit of time at these places, and I always want to try to convey that it's a more magical place, not like the other houses around the town. I started by creating the building itself. I made it in Blender, mapped all the UVs to fit my standard texture. If you want to know more about that, check out the last devlog. Then I created a new texture for it. This is mostly just creating a brick pattern, a new floor, and some extras like doors, windows, and columns. Also, I know the lore behind a lot of this stuff might not be interesting for everyone, so I'll try to keep it short, but I wanted to give a bit of a background on my thoughts when creating this. So these Prisma are intended to be energy creatures that are born from naturally occurring crystals, but those thoughts led me down having a healing type crystal in the shrine. This is what I came up with. So I drew the pixel art for the crystal itself along with some basic flickering fire sprites. Then I created a small pillar to hold the fires and added an NPC to be the healer in the shrine. I haven't decided on this person's role completely. I don't know if she will be actively doing the healing or if she just kind of stands there to witness it all. I don't suppose it matters too much. I tend to overthink these things too much anyway. Anyway, on to the healing effects. Like I said, I wanted this to be an interesting place to visit, but I also know how frequently players will be coming here, so I wanted to keep the effects short. One of my small annoyances with games like Pokemon is how long it takes to go through the animation at Pokemon centers every time I want to heal. So in order to keep it short, I just make the crystal cycle through a spinning animation, I change the fires to a nice green color, I add some green lighting that emits from the fire, and I have some nice healing particles that surround the crystal. I think it gives a nice effect and feels like something pretty big is happening, but it also happens very quickly, and once a player has done it 100 times, they can just run in, click A, have this little animation play, and then they're back out doing what they, playing the game, what they want to be doing. Well, I think I will wrap up the video here. I'm really interested to hear your opinions on the game so far. It's really starting to come together, and I'm having a ton of fun working on it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.